Hello everybody, I'm very pleased to have the opportunity to connect remotely with you, and thanks also the USI Institute for organizing this. I'm now in Rome and was busy with another conference in France today, but I want to say you hello, and it's great that we can connect and share some thoughts. Okay, I'm trying to talk about soils, green infrastructure, and to some extent technology. I want to start from the classical picture of the urbanization and the development of big megalopolis all over the world. You can see that in Southeast Asia, for example, Africa, things are really exploding. But also in the United States, you have 80% of people today living in urban cities, and a little bit higher than Europe, for example. In Italy, it's only 39% of people. So, but anyway, this is a phenomenon that is now worldwide. And the main message of this picture is that everything you want to do as challenges for the future society, like, for example, fighting climate change or fighting for better health, better well-being, or better economy, everything has to start from cities, from people living in urban areas. In 2050, 80% of the population will live in urban areas, and only 20% in the rural place. So that's really a big trend, a big change, and that creates also some questions. Also, for example, who's going to produce the food for us if everybody's just in the cities? This also brings back the question of the human relation with the nature, and having so many cities, urban citizens that I call urban humans. They are different from the normal humans. There is this lack of relation with nature, and we see every day in cities that we are completely detached from ecosystems, for natural resources. Even our children are still have difficulties to understand, for example, where the food comes from. Barely they know that milk, for example, comes from cows or eggs from chickens. So that's a real detachment that is also shown by a recent study that was done by couple of sociologists, looking at the number of words in the popular culture, so looking in magazines, fiction books, in songs and videos, without looking at science papers. So the number of words related with nature. And since 1950 was decline of the number of words related with nature. Today we use about half of the words that were used in the 50s. So this is a really big sign that we are also decoupling ourselves from nature, even in our language. And indeed, nature and biological organisms are so important and are the fundamentals of our life. Indeed, this picture shows a little bit of the biodiversity that is the theme of the conference, where you can see this extraordinary link between the DNA coding, the molecular basis of DNA, that you can even represent as an information technology, with these are the bases, the sequences of DNA of the human genome. And this how you can really relate this with the organism and the beauty of nature, the diversity, and the organisms are themselves also collectively working together to create ecosystem services and producing, for example, plants and foods and green infrastructure that are so important for our lives. And ecosystem services are so important really in urban cities for several reasons, and from the physical point of view, for energy absorption, so basically producing cooling effect, thermal comfort, also carbon sequestration, that is very important in urban areas. They are contributing so much to greenhouse gas emissions. So mitigation climate change for sure has to start in cities. And carbon sequestration produced by green infrastructure is very important. Water transpiration is also important for floods retention. In New York, there are very good examples of green roofs, for example, for stabilizing the floods, and that's very important service that plants are giving to us. And also air quality, particular filtering, and of course mental health, well-being, relaxation, aesthetics are also fundamental parts of nature that are in our soul, in our lifestyle, in our social relations. So important. And food, okay, food. Food is really something very new to some extent because nobody was thinking to produce food in cities since a few years ago. That was an explosion of urban farming and urban agriculture. But it's really true because everybody's now living in cities, so who's going to produce food? It's important to start to think of a new way to do it. And here we have a big controversial, I would say, some divergence between the food production in urban areas, between what we have to do, for example, following technology on one hand and producing high-tech food with solutions like vertical farming, greenhouses, and on the other hand, we have this quality needs, the need of sustainability production, the needs of nutritional balances, and good food, quality food. So going back a little bit to traditional cultivation, and that's the two phases of the problem. Going in the future in the high-tech food solutions for urban food, or going a little bit back to our traditions and good food and quality. And that, I think the truth is a little bit in between. We probably have to give priority to quality food and health problems, and to some extent go back a little bit to traditions, but of course with some technology, and technology can really help us, particularly soft technology, precision farming, and that reduce the use of fertilizer, that reduce the contamination of soils. So again, we can combine the two things, and soil are in between this technological challenges, because we need a healthy soil rich of microorganisms and biodiversity. At the same time, it's very important for having healthy plants, and healthy plants are important to produce good quality food and healthy food. And of course, through the food, we can really look also at the healthy people. And it's interesting. Today listened to a conference by Bill Gates in Lyon, in Paris, and he was actually pointing to this importance of food for health, and he was really very, very convinced, and that we have to start for the new health problem of humans, starting really from food, and also the microbiomes of our health is also very important for us. So that's a very interesting perspective. And technology is important as well. And one thing that I like to say about this is that yes, indeed, we have technologies that can be helpful, starting from what we call Industry 4.0. There's a lot of digital information and robotics and automation, Internet of Things, and also big data and artificial intelligence that are more or less today in the sphere of industry, but not very much permeated and entered into the natural resource management. I think that's a big step we have to do. I call this Nature 4.0, where we use technology for understanding ecosystems services, diversity. We can manage better if we understand, we monitor, for example, ecosystems and their services. And I'd like to present you one technology that we already developed and is already working in more than 800 trees. It's the tree talker device that is measuring the water consumption of trees, the growth in biomass, He has a sensor measuring the spectral responses of light transmitted by the crown and lids, and so you can detect, for example, pathologies or changes in colors. And finally, also an accelerometer for measuring the oscillation of trees and their stability. So this with little box you can combine, let's say, a diagnostic physiology, and those data are transmitted to cloud, so you can see the web. And this is important because each single tree can be really monitored. This is just some example of water consumption during the day, every hour, and tree ring growth, for example, continuously measured every hour. Another technology that we are working on today is we call it soil torque. This is very interesting because there was a discussion with Tatiana Morin about this. How we can call this is that I was really impressed by the soil torque. So the way which you can, give the soil the possibility to tell us what's going on. And the tree torque basically is this first concept is measuring carbon dioxide concentration and oxygen concentration and methane inside the soil continuously as a proxy of the microbial activity of soils, and so in which way we can probably detect a healthy signal from the soil. And we are still working on that, and we would like also to add on some other measurements to let the soil tell us how they feel and what are the conditions, and so we this way we can really try to manage better them, and so give also some quantitative analysis. Okay, thanks for this listening, for this presentation, very short, and I want to also thank New York. I've been visiting New York in July. It was a fantastic city, and I think you do a lot of things in green infrastructure, in soil health. It's very impressive, the work is going on also from the institutions, and I think it's a really great place to introduce new ideas and research to make better our soils, make better our ecosystems, urban ecosystems, and finally maybe making better also the urban humans living in the city. Thank you again.